Hey everybody, in the previous video we walked through how to build this in Adobe Illustrator. So we learned how to import our different visual assets and organize our layers, as well as flatten transparencies and apply clipping masks. I hope you understand from this process how important it is to go into the Adobe projects with a plan. If you just skip thumbnailing or you skip sketching or you don't really have a clear idea of what it is that you want to create, you're going to spend a lot of time wasted in fiddling around in these applications trying to make something that looks good. If you have a plan, then you can sort of figure out, okay, I'm going to need a picture of a person, I'm going to need some sort of graphic element to represent the destination, I'm going to need to build a background of some sort, and then I'm going to have to lay out some text and a logo and so on and so forth. So hopefully that kind of gives you an insight into how to begin your project and really get to this stage. At this point, we want to export our work and get it ready for print and get it ready for submission and all of those fun things. So let's kind of get going on that. Before we actually start saving our files out, we need to make sure that all of the assets that are in our project are the appropriate resolution and color space for our project. So first of all, I'm going to go to Window and I'm going to go down to Links. Links is a great window to have open because it allows you to see all of the different assets that you've imported into your project and make sure that they are built properly. So in this case, I can click on my frizzy hair PSD and I can come down here and I can see, yep, it is in a CMYK color space. And the PPI right here, the pixels per inch, are actually almost double what we need them to be. They're 599 pixels. The reason why they're so big, like why it's such a big number, is because this image is actually been reduced in size compared to its original specs. So we've essentially doubled the resolution because it's half as big as it should be, which is totally fine. It actually works in our favor for it to be that good quality. Next up, I'm going to click on the palm tree PSD and make sure that this is okay. So I can see already it's still in an RGB color format, but the resolution is phenomenal. So this color format has to get fixed, and in order to do so, we need to reopen our our project in Photoshop in order to rejig the color profile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and find the palm tree CMYK PSD, and I'm going to open it up in Photoshop. And I'm simply going to go up to Image, Mode, switch it to CMYK. I do not want to merge anything, and I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. That changed it to CMYK. So I'm going to hit Control S to save. And now when I jump back into Adobe Illustrator, interesting. Why didn't it update? 1 second. Reveal link in Explorer. Save. Come on. There we go. Sorry, it just took Illustrator a second to catch up with me. It says, some files are missing or modified in the links panel. Would you like to update them now? Yes. Yes, I would. So I go ahead and click yes. And now if I go and click on my palm tree PSD, I can see that it is now CMYK. So this file is effectively ready to go. It is in a CMYK workspace. All of the visual assets are CMYK. We've used CMYK color swatches for our text, and we have the logo set up properly, so everything looks good. There are two files that you're going to have to export for this assignment. The first one is a PDF. So let's get going on that one first. I'm going to go up to File and hit Save As. I'm going to save this out as a PDF. I can call this Final and hit Save. In this window, you want to make sure that you make some good choices. So if your PDF preset is set to Illustrator Default, you want to change that to High Quality Print. The reason for that is because under compression, it will make sure that your images are not compressed below 300 pixels per inch. If you leave it on Illustrator Default, it will adjust this number to be less than 300, and your work will not save out looking as good as it should. So make sure that you select High Quality Print, double check the compression is set to 300. After that, I want to make sure that we go under Marks and Bleeds and click on Use Document Bleed Settings. This will make sure that our document is saved out using this exterior red box and everything that's sort of inside of it. I'm also going to click on trim marks. This way you can clearly see where the actual live edge of the project is, which is this black interior box, versus the sort of part that's going to be cut off, which is this exterior part in the red area here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and hit Save PDF. And in a minute, it should open up the PDF in Acrobat for me to take a look at. Awesome. So let's just zoom out here. And you can tell, so where these little crop marks are, these little lines, this is where the poster would actually get trimmed. So anything that is outside of, this interior area here would get cut away by a printer, but it's just good practice to make sure that it's there. So that if you do end up working on real print projects, you know how to set this up properly. So you would want to include this PDF in your submission for the assignment, okay? The next asset that we're going to export is the JPEG, which we're going to use in our mockup. So I'm going to go back into Illustrator and click on File and hit Export, Export As. Yeah, that looks good to me. We're going to switch this down to a JPEG. There it is. I want to use my artboards, and I'm gonna just make sure that, I select all. The reason for this is because it will make sure that anything, even like this edge of the shoulder here, the edge of the arm, will not be included in the final export. It will only take what is from the edge of the bleed inward. So make sure that you check Use Artboard here, okay? We're gonna go to Export. You want to make sure that your color mode is CMYK, the quality is set to 10, and that your resolution is set to 300. Afterwards, we can go ahead and hit OK. And this should export a JPEG right here. I can just double click to open it really fast. And there we go. So it has taken only the sort of live edge area of my document, which is great. I'm going to close that. And now for the mockup. I have given you a bus shelter mockup PSD, so go ahead and open that up in Photoshop. Any of the mockups that I've given you for this assignment, you can follow this same process to upload your work into the mockup. So you're going to want to look at your layers panel. In your layers panel, there should be a layer that says something like your artwork here, or double click to replace, or something of that variety. I've tried to make sure that I've highlighted them all in green so that they're pretty easy to see. You'll want to double click on the thumbnail next to the layer name, so in this area. When you double click, what you're doing is opening up a linked document that I've placed inside of the mockup project in Photoshop. So this is the document in which you will bring in your JPEG, the final sort of produced visual of that format. So I'm going to click and drag it into this Photoshop document, and it might need just a tiny bit of resizing. Sometimes these things the mockups aren't exactly the same specs as what I've tried to give you. If you're cutting off only this much on the left and right side, that really shouldn't be an issue, because ideally all of your crucial information will be far enough away from the edge that if you cut off a tiny bit more of the arm or the hair, nobody's really going to notice. Once you've placed your artwork and you're happy with how it looks, you can go ahead and hit Command or Control S to save your work. And then when we come back to the other project, it will have already updated in the mockup, and you can go ahead and save this out as a JPEG for the mockup component of the project. So we can go to File, Save as Copy, or Save As, and we can select JPEG, and we can just simply call this Bus Shelter Mockup Final. Save, hit OK, and there we go. The whole point of a mockup is not to really have print-ready files in them. So if you'll notice, like this is this document here, the actual mockup, it's an RGB. I'm not worried about this being a perfectly print-ready document because it doesn't have to be. It's just there to show what your work could look like if it was actually printed and placed in the situation that you envision it belonging in. It's a really good way for art directors or clients to visualize what it is that you've produced and make sure that, does it fit in that context, and are there any adjustments that we should consider making to it? So that's kind of the point of a mock-up. But overall, that is the entire project in a nutshell. Over the course of these videos, we looked at how to crop people out. We looked at how to change resolution and change color profiles. We've looked at how to assemble graphics in Adobe Illustrator. A lot of these tools and techniques can be applied to Adobe InDesign if you prefer to work in there as well. And finally, we looked at how to export high quality artwork and how to place it into a mock-up so that you can display your work as best as possible. I hope you found this module super helpful, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with for your assignments.